Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today we are going to process chickens. We have 29 meat birds ready to go. We'll do 24-ish today, and then my 4-year-old wants to help tomorrow, so I'll save some for her. Let me walk you through the setup. So here we have our boiling pot connected to a propane tank. The temperature, you want it to get to about 145. Looks like it's at about 139-ish right now, so we have a little bit to wait. Here's our plucker. We'll put the chicken in here, we'll turn it on, we'll hose it down while it's in there, and about 15 seconds, maybe fewer. And then we put a plastic trash bag here to catch all the feathers that come out the bottom. Here's the table where we'll do the evisceration. We have a bowl full of ice water and 3 bags, 1 bag for gizzards, 1 for hearts, 1 for necks. Then we have a plastic garbage bucket for all of the entrails. And then we have a cooler so we can store all the chickens in it when we're done. And this is full of ice water right now. Rubber gloves and a very, very sharp knife. Hey, so don't mind the sunscreen on my face. It doesn't look like I've wiped it in. I look ghostly. Processing chickens is something that we started a few years ago. When I was on maternity leave with my son, I wanted to see how it was, to see how it felt. I had the summer off with him, and we were talking about processing our own chickens, at least I was, and I wanted to attempt it to see how easy or difficult it was, and if it was something that we wanted to keep doing. So we started with 4, and I did it, and besides the first kill cut, the rest was easy. And since then, we've just kind of grown the number of meat birds that we have every single year. It's something that we like doing, and we know where the meat came from. We know that it was well cared for, that it wasn't fed garbage, that they were processed in a really humane way, and that's really important to us. And the kids like taking care of them too, and it's kind of become a family venture. Yeah, so it's really easy to do. It's not that gross. It's not that hard, and I'm going to walk you through the steps right now. So let's do it. So here's our setup. We have the chicken tractor that has the meat birds in it. I've pulled some and put them in this crate, and they're just chilling. And here's our kill cone. So the one on the left is store-bought, and it's kind of too big for the chickens that we have. They just kind of flop out of it, and it's a traumatic experience for everyone. So we have cut the top off of like a vinegar bottle and then hung it upside down. So now I'll put the chicken in it head first. The head will come out the bottom, and you'll see that in a second. And then all the blood drains into this bucket that has straw in it with a little bit of water, and then we can put that blood in our compost. So, step 1, put the chicken in the kill cone. So here's the chicken hanging upside down right now. You see in the kill cone, the head and neck are hanging through the top of the cone. So actually what I like to do before I get started is let the chicken calm down, let the chicken relax a little bit, and then I kind of just caress it a little bit and say thank you for this meal, thank you for nourishing our friends and family. And then after it's relaxed, I cut here on the side of the neck, and then I cut over here as well. And I try not to cut the esophagus. I try really hard not to cut the esophagus because I don't want to suffocate her or make it any worse than this experience already is for her. So I wait for her to calm down, I say thank you, and then I cut the jugular. I'm going to try to pull back some of these feathers with my thumb so I don't cut through those feathers and I just see mostly skin. So that's what I'm going to end up doing right around there. Right by its kind of jawbone, right there. And I'm going to try to do that on the other side too. I say thank you. for being a good bird. Thank you for feeding my friends and my family. Thank you for nourishing. And then I count to 3. I grab the knife very firmly. I say 1, 2, 3. So, ideally, you want to make one fast cut on each side, and if the blood starts to pour out, you know that you got the jugular. That's what you want to get. If the blood is dripping out, you'll need to do it again. You'll need to make another cut because he won't die as quickly, and it becomes a traumatic experience for both of you. So try to get one clean cut really quickly on both sides, have that blood pour out immediately, and then you know that you're good. And he'll thrash around because his nervous system is still operating because the blood is flowing through it. That's normal. You know the saying, chicken with its head cut off, it runs around, right? It's going to do that in the kill cone, but because its wings are trapped against its body, it won't be as he won't flap around too much. He'll still flap, but he won't go all over the place. So then you just wait it out, and then once he fully relaxes, I'll pull him out and I'll take him to the hot water bath, where we will dunk him and then move on with the rest of the steps. All right, so the next step after the chicken is dead, you're going to put it in this hot water bath, and that helps to loosen up the feathers. The water temperature should be around 150. It shouldn't be any higher than 150. So right now we are right at 150. It can be a little lower, 145, that's fine too. If you're going to use a plucker, you want the feathers to come out just a little bit tough. Just a little tug on them with your fingers. If you're going to defeather it without a plucker, you're just going to hand pluck. You want to put the bird into the bath until the feathers pull out like they're just stuck in butter. They come out really easily. So that basically you're just rubbing your hand on it and the feathers fall out. But we're using a plucker today. So I'm going to put it in here, and you can come closer. You want to submerge every feather on the bird and kind of wiggle it around so that the water hits every area of the bird. And pull it out after a few seconds. Pull it out after a few seconds, let it drip, and you can test the feathers and see how they feel. They feel okay. I'll probably put it back in there for another couple seconds. Just give it a test. Wiggle it around. Pull it out. And since I'm using a plucker, that's probably all it needs. You can put it in as many times as you need to until the feathers come out really easily. So now I'm going to put it in the plucker. And this is like a wash tub, but with rubber fingers on it. Turn it on, and while it's on, I'm going to spray the chicken with the water. And that's it. That chicken is naked, and it looks like a chicken you would buy at the store. And if there's any extra feathers left on it, you can just pull those off with your fingers. And the next step is evisceration. All right, so this bird is fresh out of the plucker. When you pull it out of the plucker, or when you're defeathering it by yourself, you want to give it a once over to make sure you didn't miss any feathers. On the wings is important, underneath the wings, and then in between the thighs. This bird looks pretty clean. So you see that I've already removed a leg. When you get it on the table after you have defeathered it, the first thing you want to do is take off the legs. So to do that, you flip the chicken onto its back and then pull the leg up so that the joint is flexed. And then you take your knife and just cut along that seam and let gravity do the work. You'll feel it, the leg pull away from the foot, just like that. You can save those for bone broth or toss them. Next thing you want to do is take off the head. You want to try not to cut through bone. So with the head, I pull it so that it pulls away from the spine or the rest of the neck, and then I can just easily cut through skin and toss that. So this next part is key, because if you cut too low on the neck, I'll lift this up. If you cut too low on the neck, you risk the skin pulling away from the breast and your breast being exposed. So if you want skin on your breast, the best thing to do is to make a hole midway through the neck. So I'm going to make an incision in the middle of the neck here, and you'll see why. Because the next thing you want to do is loosen up all of the innards. So I've made my hole here. I made my cut. I'm going to stick 2 fingers in through the neck and just work my fingers around the inside of the chicken to loosen up the membrane that holds all of the organs in place. So I'm gonna, keep flipping this chicken over, working my fingers in, trying to loosen up and break up all of that membrane. If you feel like your fingers are twisting over a tube or like an intestine or something, kind of move your fingers away from that and just focus on breaking up the membrane. You can feel, once you do your first bird, you'll get a sense of what that feels like. It feels like when your fingers poke through a rubber glove. That's what it feels like. The first time I did a chicken, I thought I had ripped my glove open, but it was just the membrane of the chicken. So once I've worked this pretty good and I feel like the organs are loose, I will flip it onto its breast, because the next thing you want to do is pull those organs out. So it's on its breast, and I'm going to pull the tail up. This is the poop, this is the vent. Some people call it a poop tube, we can call it that. So I'm going to pull up on the tail and make an incision underneath the poop tube. Okay. Then I'm going to go along the side of it. And really, my goal is to not puncture the poop tube itself, because I don't want to taint this with poop. So I'm going to cut around it as best I can. And then I'm going to pull it out so that it's away from the body cavity. Hold on. One more incision here. There. Now it's out. So now I have room enough to stick my hand in and pull out the organs. So that is what I'm going to do. And be gentle here, because maybe you didn't get all of the membrane loose, and so some things are stuck inside sometimes. So don't rip it out. Be as gentle yet firm as you can. And we can talk through what I'm pulling out right now. Here comes the crop. You can pull it out you can pull out the crop through the top of the chicken or the bottom, whatever, it doesn't matter. So here we have, this is the gizzard. This helps them basically chew their food since they don't have teeth. It allows them to digest what they're eating. We can save that. That's the gizzard. This is the heart. The most important thing when you are processing a chicken or eviscerating is, this is the gallbladder. Do not puncture that when you have the chicken on the table, or anything you want to eat here. Do not puncture this, because what's inside will really ruin your chicken or your gizzard or your heart or whatever you want to keep. You want to make sure that's intact. If you puncture that, you're in trouble. This is the liver. You can keep this if you want. We don't. We generally just keep the gizzard, heart, and neck. This is the liver. And then the rest is just intestines. So we're going to flip this bird on its back, because what's left inside is the lungs, and we want to get those out. Actually, I don't know if you can see inside, but if you can see inside, you can actually see that this is a rooster and that there are 2 testicles that look like pinto beans in there. So we're going to get those out too. Stick your hand in, You just pull them out. There we go. So the lungs are against the spine, or the back ribs, basically. And they're really hard to see, but they are spongy and they're stuck up against the ribs. So you're going to stick your hand in and just kind of scoop your fingers against the ribs until you feel something come with you, come with your fingers. And it looks like this. It looks like this spongy, it looks like a lung. So there's two of them. There's one on each side. I couldn't find a good YouTube video on how to get the lungs out or what they looked like when I first started doing this. So I want to show you what they look like and how to get them out. So they're about like right against their ribs, up against their ribs. You have to scoop it out like you're scooping out ice cream or something with your fingers. They're easy to come out. You just have to find them. And they're easy to find because there's no more organs inside. And there's the other one. That's what it looks like. So this bird is clean, so we can spray him out. The first thing, you can throw those away. The first thing I want to do is flip it back onto its breast. So this right here is their oil gland, and you have to remove this. You can remove the whole tail, or you can just remove the gland. We've done it both ways, but you don't want to eat that. This will also taint your food and just make it taste bitter. So to remove it, you're just going to cut. You're just going to cut above it, and then kind of gently get it out of there. So if there's any yellow, that's part of the gland, so you want to get that out too. And sometimes when it's hard, I just end up cutting off the whole tail, but that looks pretty good. Okay, the next thing is the neck. So some people keep the neck for bone broth. That's what we're going to do. So this part's up to you and how much neck you want to be sticking out of your bird. I usually try to cut it off somewhere right inside the cavity. So I left the esophagus in there for right now. I'll pull that out. Okay, so stick your fingers in, and you can kind of feel where there's an open spot where it's like not cartilage, and you can feel for that spot, and that's where I'll make my incision. So right along there, and the knife just dips into that spot, and then I put my thumb in it and kind of work that area until I can pull the neck loose. And I try not to cut through cartilage or bone because I'll dull my knife that way. There we go. And there we go. And so now I'll spray that off and save it. So let me spray off the table here, because it's looking pretty gnarly. So now I'm going to spray inside of the neck and just kind of clean it out a bit. In case there's any blood left in there, I'll spray the external part of the body here. Make sure there's no grass or anything. And then I'll flip it over and spray out this side as well. Great. That one's almost done. The last thing we're going to do here is, you can leave it just like this, but we actually are going to make an incision here in this flap of skin in between the legs. Just like a horizontal incision. Small, not too big. And we're going to tuck the bones into it. Oops. Just like that. Make sure it stays. Boom. And there we go. A nice, beautiful bird that has all of the skin skin on the breast. The legs look good. There doesn't seem to be any pin feathers on it. It looks clean. I'll probably give it one more spray and then put it into the cooler. And that's it, and then we're going to move on to the next one. So with chickens or turkeys or ducks, those are the three things that we've done on the farm. You have to let them rest. You can't just kill a bird and then eat it. It'll be really tough because it goes through the process of rigor mortis. So a young bird like this is an 8-week-old, 9-week-old bird, they only need to rest for about 24 hours. And when they rest, they need to be in really cold water. Some people leave them in a cooler all night. We're going to move them from the cooler to the fridge eventually. But for now, and don't mind the yellow-orange water, we're going to leave them in here, and then while I continue to process the rest of them, and then we're going to let them dry, air dry, and then put them in the fridge so that they can rest for the remainder of the 24-hour period. Then, after that 24-hour period, then they're ready to eat. So these chickens right now are out of the cooler. They were in the cooler for a few hours. Now they're drying. We have a fan on them. They're turned upside down so that whatever water is left in them drains out. And then we're going to put them in our extra fridge so that they can rest and be ready for eating or freezing. Hey guys, so it's been 24 hours since our second and final day of processing. The first day we did 24, and then those have already been bagged and tagged, and then yesterday morning we did the remaining 5, and so it's been 24 hours since then. And so the 5 birds in here that are ready to go, that are just chilling, straight chilling, you can't see the top row, they're in there. They're ready to be weighed and then parted out or just bagged whole. So that's it. It's an easy process. It's kind of fun and interesting to go through the anatomy of a chicken, and the kids enjoyed it as well. I was really happy that they were able to partake this year and weren't grossed out and were really into it. They both wanted to cut off the feet of the chicken, and it was great. It was a good time. But as you can see, like, it's a super easy process. Just about anybody can do it, and so if you're interested, give it a shot. It's fun. I would say start with just a handful of birds and see if you like it. But raising your own meat and knowing what that animal was fed and how it was taken care of and that it was humanely processed is a really important thing. At least it is to us. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more like it, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time, either on the run or on the farm.